The jungle was silent, too silent. Only the soft humming of dying energy filled the air. Smoke rose from the wreckage of a large alien ship that had crashed just hours ago. Its silver hull was torn open like a broken shell. Sparks jumped from broken panels. Glowing vines curled up around the ship's sharp edges, as if the planet itself wanted to swallow it whole. Riven stood at the edge of the clearing, eyes locked on the alien craft. His hands were dirty, and his gear was old. He was not a soldier anymore. He had left the war behind. Now he was just a scavenger, trying to survive. But the distress signal had reached his ship, and something inside him said he had to come. He walked slowly toward the wreckage, stepping over metal shards and shattered trees. The crash was fresh. The engines were still warm. This wasn't a transport ship, it was royal. The design was ancient and rare, used only by high-ranking alien. Nobility. That meant someone important had fallen from the sky. He pulled a metal panel aside and slipped inside. The hallway was narrow and half-lit by flickering lights. He smelled smoke and blood. As he moved deeper, he heard something, a soft sound. Like a breath, he followed it. His boots echoed on the floor. Then he saw her. She was lying on the floor near the control platform, her white armor cracked and stained with dark violet blood. Her skin glowed faintly in the dim light, smooth and flawless, even bruised. Her hair was long, silver black, tangled and flowing down over her shoulders. And her eyes, those glowing golden eyes, locked onto his. She was injured, but still alive. Riven stepped closer, raising both hands to show he meant no harm. "Are you hurt?" She tried to sit up, but winced, holding her side. Her voice came out in a weak whisper. "You're human," he nodded. "Yeah, but I'm not here to fight." Her lips moved slowly. "You're not supposed to be here." Knelt down beside her. "I know. But your signal was crying for help. I couldn't ignore it." She reached for a blade that had fallen beside her, but her arm gave out. Riven gently pushed the weapon aside. "Don't touch me," she said, her voice trembling. He paused. "You're wounded. Let me help." "I can't," she whispered. "It's forbidden. You don't understand." Riven looked at her, bleeding. Sighed. The cut was deep. Alien armor had shattered near her ribs, and something sharp had pierced through. She was fading fast. Her breath came slow and shaky. "You'll die if I leave you," he said quietly. "Then leave," she replied. But he didn't move. He took a small medkit from his belt and opened it. He didn't know if it would work on her kind, but doing nothing wasn't an option. Carefully, he reached toward her. Psst. She didn't stop him this time. When his hand touched her skin, she flinched. But something strange happened. Soft glow pulsed from her wound. The bleeding slowed. Her eyes widened. "You touched me," she said, almost in shock. Riven looked down. "You're healing." She turned her head away. "This should not be possible." "Why not?" he asked. She didn't answer. Instead, she stared at the ceiling, breathing heavier, as if something else had just changed, something inside her. She looked confused, lost. He stood up, looking around the bridge. Something glowed behind her throne, a strange object with alien script, pulsing like a heartbeat. He stepped closer. The queen suddenly gasped. "No, don't touch that." Before he could ask why, the ship shuddered. A loud thrum echoed through the walls. The lights turned blood red. Systems powered back on somehow. He turned toward her. "What did I do?" She shook her head. "Not you. It's the ship. It knows." "Knows what?" The floor vibrated. Energy surged under his feet. Then he heard it, footsteps. Not his. Not hers. Someone or something was still alive inside the wreck. Riven looked back at her. "You said you were alone?" "I was," she whispered, fear now in her voice. "But now we're not." He reached for his weapon and stood in front. Of her, he had come to save a life. Now, he might have to fight to keep it. The floor under Riven's boots pulsed like a giant heartbeat deep within the ship. He froze. The glow behind the throne brightened, casting red light across the walls. It wasn't just power coming back online. Something inside the ship had awakened. The alien queen, still weak and bleeding, tried to sit up again. Her golden eyes flickered between the glowing object and Riven's face. He was breathing harder, now not from pain, but from fear. "You need to get out," she said, voice trembling. "You don't understand this ship. It's not only a machine, it's alive." Riven turned toward her. "Alive? What do you mean?" She shook her head slowly. "The core is ancient. It was grown, not built. Royal ships are made from living energy. They respond to bloodlines, emotions, even touch." His gaze shifted to the strange relic behind her throne, a crystal sphere floating in midair. Veins of light crawling through it. Alien script spun around it, changing with each pulse. Riven took a cautious step toward it. "Don't," she warned, her voice sharper now. "That's not for humans. It reacts to lineage royalty. That's what powers the ship." "You shouldn't even be able to see it. I already touched you," he said calmly. "And you're not dead." Tightened. "That's impossible." "But it happened," he said. She looked away. "Then something's broken. Or I am." The moment hung heavy between them. Before Riven could respond, a mechanical hiss echoed through the hallway. The door far behind them slammed shut. Another opened. They weren't alone. Riven turned fast and raised his weapon. A soft clicking sound echoed through the corridor. Not metal bones. Steps that were slow and deliberate. "Who else is on this ship?" he asked. The queen's expression darkened. "Not who, what? My guardian? It was assigned to protect me?" "But when the ship went down, its programming could have broken. It might see you as a threat now. How big is it?" Riven asked. "Big enough to tear you in half," she said. He didn't wait. Riven rushed to a nearby control panel. Fingers moving over the symbols. Most were unfamiliar, but basic functions were readable thanks to old war training. He managed to seal the bridge doors. The queen watched him with silent curiosity. "You can read our systems? Enough to stay alive?" She tilted her head. Slightly, eyes narrowed. "You're not just a scavenger, are you?" He didn't answer. Instead, he turned to her. "Why are you really here?" "Royal ships don't crash randomly, and queens don't fly alone." Her gaze dropped. "I was fleeing." "From what?" She hesitated. "From my people." Silence again. Wait. Only the soft hum of the living ship filled the air. Riven leaned closer. "Why would a queen run?" She finally spoke, softer than before. "Because I broke the law. I refused. A forced bonding. I chose exile over slavery. They'd rather kill you than let you go." "Yes," she said. "And they sent a tracker to make sure I die." He understood now. The ship didn't crash, it was shot down, and that meant more danger was coming. Suddenly, the ship's red lights dimmed. The strange relic behind the throne flickered, then surged again. This time, the pulse echoed through Riven's chest. He staggered back, grabbing his ribs. The queen gasped. "It reacted to you. I didn't touch it," he shouted. "You didn't have to? It's linked to me. If your energy is connected to mine, it sees you now? What does that mean?" She looked terrified. "It means you're now part of the ship." Before they could say more, the bridge door exploded inward, thrown off its hinges. From the smoke stepped a monstrous figure 8 feet tall, covered in black armor grown from the ship itself. Its head twisted unnaturally, and its arms ended. And sharpened, bone-like blades hissed through its chest, not its mouth. The queen whispered, "It's the guardian." Riven raised his weapon, but the creature didn't charge. It stared at him, long and hard. Then it turned its head to the queen, and it spoke in a low, grinding voice. Bond detected. Royal line corrupted. The queen's face turned pale. The guardian raised its blade arm. Riven stepped between them without thinking. "Stay away from her," he said firmly. The guardian paused, tilting its head. "Protector identified," Bond confirmed. Trial protocol initiated. The floor shifted beneath them, and the walls opened, revealing a dark tunnel glowing with blue light. "What trial?" Riven asked. The queen's voice was barely a whisper. "Sacred test. No human has ever survived it." The guardian pointed into the tunnel. "Enter, or she dies." Riven glanced at the queen, then at the tunnel, and without a word he stepped forward. The tunnel swallowed Riven in silence. Blue light pulsed through the walls like veins beneath skin, and the air was warm to warm. The ground under his boots felt alive, beating with a faint rhythm, as if he were walking through the inside of some enormous creature. Behind him, the bridge door sealed shut again. He could no longer see the queen, but he could still feel her. Somehow, her presence pressed against his thoughts, like a heartbeat just out of reach. Trial protocol initiated, he muttered to himself. What does that even mean? The tunnel, twisted, leading deeper underground. Symbols glowed along the walls, ancient alien markings, too complex for him to read. They changed as he passed, shifting shapes and colors. They seemed to be watching him, judging him. Then the light dimmed. He stopped. Ahead was a chamber, a circular room with a shallow pool of glowing liquid in the center. At the edges, carved into the walls, were statues of tall alien figures, all female, all wearing crowns, queens. The air felt heavy here. He stepped closer to the pool. The surface was still, mirror-like. But when he looked into it, he didn't see himself. He saw her, the queen, kneeling, bleeding, crying. His chest tightened. Then the vision changed. He saw her as a child, taken from her family and raised for the throne, trained like a weapon, dressed in armor by the time she could walk, never allowed to smile, never allowed to choose. Then he saw her as she had been just hours ago, crawling from her crashed ship, whispering into her broken cums, begging for help that never came, except from him. And now he was being tested for something he didn't even understand. Why me? He whispered. The pool rippled. From the far wall, a panel slid open, and something flew toward him. He dodged just in time. A spike embedded itself in the wall beside him. Another came, then another. He ran, rolled behind a statue. The pool began to boil. Shapes rose from the liquid, ghostly figures made of energy, forming twisted versions of himself. One had his face butt burned. One was covered in blood. One laughed like a man gone mad. They charged him without warning. Riven fought back. Swinging a broken staff he found near the floor. His strikes passed through the illusions, but each blow sent a wave of heat through his body. They weren't trying to kill him. They were trying to burn away his fear. He didn't give in. He roared, stepped into the pool, and stood in the center. The vision stopped. The pool stilled. Then the voice came not from the room, but from inside his own mind. She carries a royal curse. He gritted his teeth. I don't care. Her blood is sacred, tainted now by your touch. I didn't choose this, he said. I just didn't want her to die. The voice paused. Then prove your intent. From the center of the room, a small needle rose from the floor, ancient, sharp, pulsing with light. Give your blood to seal the bond. He stared at it. Seal it. If you are false, the ship will consume you. He looked at the blade. Then he looked at the pool, remembering her face. Not as a queen, but as a woman. Alone, wounded, terrified of her own people. He reached out, grabbed. The needle and drove it into his palm. His blood hit the water. Everything exploded in light. Far above, in the bridge, the queen screamed. Her body arched on the floor, glowing veins crawling up her arms. The guardian stepped back, watching. She whispered, no. He gave blood. The relic behind her throne pulsed with raw energy. A voice filled the room, not hers. His and in her heart. She heard his memory, his pain, his voice saying, I just didn't want her to die. Tears filled her golden eyes. No human had ever survived the first trial, but now, for the first time, one had bled not in violence but in protection. She whispered, you fool. You beautiful, broken fool. And then she felt it, the bond. She was not alone anymore, asterisk. The light faded slowly. Riven opened his eyes. He was no longer standing in the glowing pool. He was somewhere else. The walls around him shimmered like water. Shapes moved through them, images, floating memories locked in crystal. Soft hum echoed through the space, like whispers just out of reach. He took a careful step forward. The floor was solid, but it felt soft under his boots, as if made of clouded glass. A single path stretched ahead, lined with glowing pillars, and in each one he saw her, the alien queen. But not as he had known her. One memory showed her as a child. Sitting alone in a dark chamber, guards watched her from behind armored masks. She wasn't crying, but her eyes were empty. Another showed her training forced to hold a sword as it burned her hands. Each time she dropped it, the pain returned. Stronger. Then a memory shifted. She was older now, dressed in royal armor, standing over a battlefield. Alien soldiers knelt before her, their heads bowed in fear not respect. Riven turned away. These weren't just memories, they were wounds. He moved deeper into the chamber suddenly. The air shimmered and the queen appeared, not in armor, not bleeding, just standing barefoot in a soft white dress, her silver hair flowing behind her. But her eyes remained the same, golden, cautious, unreadable. "Where am I?" Riven asked. She didn't speak right away. Then she said, "You're in my soul." He froze. "You're what?" "This is my heart chamber," she said. "Every royal ship is tied to its queen. The memories you seethe, they live inside me. And now, because you bled for me, you've been let in." He looked around. "This feels wrong, Private." "You passed the trial," she said quietly. "And now the bond has begun." Riven's hands clenched. "I didn't mean for this." "I know," she replied. "That's why it worked." She stepped closer, her expression softer now. Not as a ruler, but as a person who had lived with too many locked doors. "No one has ever seen this part of me," she whispered. He glanced at one of the nearby memories, her standing before a council, voice breaking as she refused to marry. "An alien warlord twice her age. I'm sorry," he said. "You shouldn't be," she answered. "You did what no one else dared. You touched me and I didn't die." Riven exhaled slowly. "And what happens now?" She looked up at him. "The ship has accepted you. That means you're more than a rescuer now. You're chosen." He stepped back. "I didn't ask for that. I didn't ask to be queen," she said sharply. Silence stretched between them. Then a tremor shook the room. The queen turned suddenly. "No, it's happening too fast." "What is?" "Hunter," she whispered. "It's close." A memory flared behind her, ships falling from the sky, fire raining on a capital city. She flinched and turned back to him. "They'll kill me if they find me, and now they'll kill you too." "Then we fight," he said. "You don't understand," she snapped. "They're not just soldiers, they're blood seekers. Trained to rip out anyone who dares break royal law." Riven didn't blink. "Let them try." Her eyes narrowed, searching his face for fear. But she found something else. Conviction suddenly. The chamber shifted again. They were no longer standing. In the Hall of Memories, they were back on the bridge. Riven staggered, his body was covered in sweat, his chest burning. He dropped to one knee. The queen knelt beside him, her hand trembling as she touched his face. Her fingers felt warm, too warm. "You're still alive," she said in disbelief. "I told you I would be," he replied, forcing a grin. Before either of them could speak, the Guardian returned, its massive frame darkening the doorway. "Trial passed," it said in its low, rumbling voice. "Bond recognized." "What does that mean?" Riven asked. The Guardian didn't answer. Instead, the ship's system came to life. A voice filled the room, deep, ancient, female. Royal protocol breached. Bloodline corrupted. Trial complete. Purge incoming. The queen stood up slowly. Her eyes widened. "They're coming," she whispered. "The High Blood. The final hunters. They'll erase this entire ship just to kill me." "And me," Riven added. She turned to him, jaw clenched. "Then we run," she said. "No." He replied, "Then we fight." The sky above the jungle cracked open. Flaming streaks fell through the clouds, alien warships breaking orbit. Dropping fast, their hulls glowing red with atmosphere burn. The planet trembled under their approach. Forest creatures scattered. Birds vanished. Even the wind held its breath. Inside the crashed royal ship, Alarms screamed in sharp alien tones. Riven stood at the main console, trying to make sense of the symbols. Most of the controls were locked royal access only. He turned to the Queen, who stood barefoot, her armor stripped off during her recovery. She looked stronger now, but something in her eyes had changed. She wasn't just wounded anymore. She was torn. Open the weapons systems. We need shields. Anything. The Queen didn't move. He stepped closer. They'll be here in minutes. I know, she said, her voice low. Then why are you standing still? She looked up at him, her golden eyes heavy. If I open the weapons, it means war. It means I choose you. Riven blinked. What? She walked past him slowly, to the center of the room where the ship's heart, still glowing with the bond they shared, pulsed with light. Her fingers hovered over a small indent, shaped perfectly to fit her hand. She didn't press it. If I activate this, she said, I make you part of the royal bloodline. By law, forever, the ship will fight for you. The Empire will call. You traitor, you will never be welcome in any system again. He stared at her. I was never welcome in the first place. The Queen's lips parted, but she said nothing. Then she lowered her hand. I wasn't supposed to live, she whispered. I was supposed to die in that crash, silent, alone. That would have been cleaner. But you didn't, he said. You called for help. I didn't mean to, but you did. Wait. She turned to him fully now. Why? Why did you come? You don't even know me. He looked her straight in the eyes. I didn't come for a queen. I came because someone needed saving. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was full of things they couldn't yet name. Outside, the sky shook again, this time louder. The hunter fleet had arrived. The ship's walls lit up with warning signs. One word kept flashing in red. Lockdown. Riven stepped forward. We don't have time before he could finish. The Queen placed her hand on the console. The ship lit up instantly. Engines, the powered weapons primed, and the bond between them deepened. She cried out, not from pain, but from something overwhelming. Power surged through her body, and a second wave flowed into Riven. He staggered as his heartbeat matched hers. They were linked now, not just in body, but in will. The Guardian, standing silently in the corner, bowed for the first time. Royal Protector accepted, it said. The Queen gasped for air. It's done. Riven looked out through the broken window. The hunter ships hovered like shadows, huge, black, and silent. One of them opened its side. A voice came through, booming and cold. Return the traitor Queen. The human dies. Death will be clean. Riven stepped to the window, his voice calm. She's not going anywhere. There was silence. Then the hunter ship began charging its weapon. The Queen walked to Riven's side. They won't stop. They'd rather destroy this planet than let me go free, and we stop them first. She turned to him. There's one way. He frowned. I'm listening. There's a command hidden in the royal bloodline, she said. It hasn't been used in 1,000 years. It will mark you as bonded, declare you my equal. What happens then? They can't kill me without killing you. Will it save us? No, she said, but it will make them hesitate. He gave a crooked smile. Sometimes hesitation is enough. She looked at him one last time, no longer as a queen, no longer as a fugitive, but as a woman who had found something she never thought possible. Then she placed her hand over his heart. Golden light surged through the room, wrapping them both in energy. The ships outside paused. The weapon charging stopped. Then one by one the hunter vessels lowered their weapons. The Queen whispered, it worked. Riven looked out the window. No, he said. They're not retreating. Her smile faded. They're calling for reinforcements. Stars turned red dot from high above the planet. A shadow blocked the sky, the blood judgment ship. It wasn't just another hunter. It was the throne's enforcer. Bigger, older, alive, carved from the bones of extinct beasts, powered by the blood of past queens. It moved like a god descending to punish the unworthy. Inside the crashed vessel, the Queen's breath caught in her throat. They sent it, she whispered. Riven looked up through the open canopy. The judgment ship floated in silence, then began to speak its voice, ancient and layered, like many voices speaking as one. Throne violation confirmed. Bloodline betrayal recorded. Human contamination detected. A beam of golden light fell from the sky and wrapped around their wrecked ship, not to destroy but to judge. Trial of the throne begins now. The ship around them shook. The floor split open. Riven and the Queen fell fast into light. And then, silence. Riven awoke in a white chamber. No doors, no sky, just light stretching forever. He was alone. His body felt heavy like his own bones didn't belong to him. His heartbeat echoed louder than normal. He looked at his hands. Symbols were glowing across his skin, alien symbols. He turned sharply. "Where is she?" No answer. Then the judgment voice returned. "Your touch changed a bloodline. Your blood triggered a forbidden bond. Do you believe you are worthy of her?" Riven clenched his fists. "I didn't come here to steal anything. I saved her. So did others. All died. You are not the first." He flinched. "But I'm the only one who bled willingly." Silence. Then a new vision appeared before him. He stood in the Queen's place, crowned, armored, cold. Alien nobles stood around him, whispering, mocking, cursing his human scent. The Queen knelt. In chains beside him, they offered him power if he handed her over. He stepped forward. But instead of words, he drew his weapon and pointed it at the council. "I choose her." The illusion shattered, and he was back in the chamber. This time, the Queen stood across from him. She looked different, taller, radiant, her eyes like suns. She was dressed in full ceremonial armor, glowing with ancient authority. "You passed my trial," she said softly. He stepped toward her. "That was you?" "No," she said. "That was the throne's memory. But I watched." He looked down at his hands. The symbols were fading. "What now?" She reached for his face, her palm soft against his cheek. "Now we must stand together. If they still try to tear us apart, the throne will decide." A flash of gold blinded them both. They returned to the bridge of their ship, but it was no longer broken. The wreckage had been healed. Panels gleamed with new light. Vines retracted. The pulse of the ship beat steady and strong. The Queen gasped. "The ship accepted you completely." Outside, the blood judgment ship hovered above them. Its voice rang out again, now shaken. "Throne chooses union. Ejection. Noted. Enforcement denied." And then silence. For the first time, the massive ship above them began to retreat. But not all accepted the ruling from below. One final hunter emerged from the jungle, huge, armored, scarred from 100 battles. This one had no loyalty to lonely to vengeance. The Queen whispered, "That's the first Fang." Riven raised his weapon. "Who?" "He was my guard commander, my executioner, in waiting. Always hated humans." The first Fang stepped into the clearing, eyes burning red, blade in hand. "I watched your crash," he growled. "I waited for you to die alone, but instead, you bonded with filth." The Queen stepped forward. "You bled to save me." The hunter laughed. "Then, bleed for him now," he charged. Riven moved in front of her, but she grabbed his wrist. "No," she said. "This fight is mine." Her armor formed from the ship itself, flowing over her like silver fire. And in that moment, Riven saw her as something beyond royalty. A warrior. A queen who had chosen love over law. She stepped forward, facing the first Fang alone. Riven's hand hovered over his blade, ready to join, but deep inside. Something told him, ... This was her final trial, and she had no intention of losing. The first Fang struck first his blade, a flash of light. Heavier than steel, faster than most could see, but the Queen didn't move back. She stepped in. Their blades met in a burst of sparks. The sound echoed through the jungle like thunder splitting. Trees, he towered over her, stronger, older, trained to kill her kind if they ever disobeyed royal law. He had done it before, but this time, the Queen was different. Not just royal, not just bonded. She was alive. Each strike she delivered came not from training, but from rage. From loss, from love buried for years beneath protocol and duty. And now, with every blow, she carved her own story. Riven watched from the edge of the clearing, fists clenched. His body ached to run forward, to fight by her side. But something inside him held him back. This wasn't his battle. This was hers. Fang laughed, circling her. You wear a shell, girl. A queen in name only. You were always soft. Oh, that's why the throne rejected you. She didn't answer with words. She lunged forward, dropped low, slid under his swing and drove her blade upward, straight through his ribs. The first Fang gasped. He grabbed her wrist, but it was too late. She looked him in the eye, face steady. The throne didn't reject me. I rejected the throne. Then she pulled the blade free. He collapsed. The jungle went still. No more ships descended from the sky. No more voices called from orbit. It was over. Later, as the sun dipped beneath the alien horizon, the queen stood at the edge of the clearing, armor fading from her body like silver dust. Her long hair blew gently in the wind. The glow from her wounds had faded. Her strength had returned, but something else had grown stronger too. She turned. Riven stood behind. Her neither spoke until she finally whispered, "You weren't supposed to touch me." He stepped closer. "I remember." And now, she said, "The universe knows you did." "Regret it?" he asked. She gave a tired smile. "If I did, I wouldn't be alive." He looked into her golden eyes. "So what happens now?" She turned her gaze to the stars. "My empire has no queen. They'll send messengers, offers, threats, maybe even peace. And what will you say?" She looked at him. "Nothing. For once, I choose silence, and I choose freedom." He nodded slowly. "And me?" She stepped forward, placed her hand on his chest, right where the glowing bond mark now rested. "You're not just a protector anymore," she said. "You're the reason the bond exists, the living proof that something better is possible. Still just a human." She smiled. "Maybe, but now you carry royal blood. My ship, my name, and my heart all answer to you." He leaned in, eyes never leaving hers. "That's a lot of responsibility." "Then let's share it." She kissed him. Not like a queen, not like a command, but like a woman who had finally been seen months later. Stories spread across the outer systems of a human who bled for a queen, of a queen who fought her own throne, of a bond that rewrote an empire's oldest law. But the human and the queen were never found again. Some say they disappeared into the edge of the galaxy. Others say their ship became legend, half alive, half myth, protecting lost travelers and exiled lovers across the stars. Only the jungle where they stood still remembers. The moment when everything changed, and if you listen closely to the wind, you can still hear her voice. "You weren't supposed to touch me, but thank you for never letting go."